top 10 characters for the month of February 2023. And normally, this is where I would thank you for liking last month's video, but this is my very first top 10 video for Marvel Snap. And I want to say I had two factors in considering this list. Is the card powerful? And also, does the card work in many decks? I feel like there are a lot of powerful cards in Marvel Snap that are very situational. So this is just my opinion. If there's a card you think I missed or a card you disagree with, put it down in the comment section, of course. But before we get started, this list is in no particular order. However, Shuri, in my opinion, is the best card in the game right now. Not only is she very powerful, she slots into many decks, and I was able to go to Infinite in 3 days using Shuri. 3 days! Normally, in other seasons, it took me like 1,700 games to hit Infinite or 1,300 games to hit Infinite. This particular season, I was able to hit Infinite in 400 games, mostly because of Shuri. Now, I feel like this is going to be a just absolutely ridiculous card going forward. And because she dropped from Series 5 to Series 4, people are going to start getting her. And then when she eventually drops to Series 3, you know, she's going to be run rampant. And this is just insanely strong. I highly recommend if you're saving up collector tokens and you're thinking about using her, I think she's amazing, and she does not require Sauron to build a very good deck. She slots into a bunch of different decks. And now that she is 3,000 collector tokens, she's on the top of my list. Again, this is in no particular order, but next on the list is Aero. Someone asked, is Aero a top 5 card? And I said, well, what cards are better than Aero? And we came down to a very short list of cards that may be better than Aero. But like I said, no particular order. But Aero has won so many games for me, and she is a cube stealer. On turn 5 or turn 6, this is absolutely ridiculous. Let me just explain turn 6. You're winning 2 lanes. You put Aero in the lane that you're losing, you win the game. You know how many matches where the opponent was not expecting Aero, or you know you're playing against a Galactus player, you know, because they've set up their ramp and you could just tell, and it's turn 5, you have priority, and you pull their Galactus into a lane where they have their Electro. It's the best. It's the best feeling in the world when you win a match with Aero. Easily makes a top 10 of this list. Next is probably the most popular card in Marvel Snap. This card sees a ton of play. I believe this is the most played card in Marvel Snap, and that is Sunspot. At the end of each turn, gain 1 power for each unspent energy. When I started playing Marvel Snap, you know, I played other card games, and I always felt like playing on curve was very important. It doesn't feel that way as much in Marvel Snap. The first couple turns of the game are not as important as the last couple turns of the game. It just feels that way. And what I learned is that managing board space, because there's only 12 spots, is actually more important than playing on curve. And so there's just a lot of situations in a lot of decks where you're not spending all of your energy and you're able to soak up energy on Sunspot. And quite often, Sunspot turns into a lot of stats, a lot of power for just a 1-drop. Probably Sunspot is the number one drop, and we're going to talk about the other 1-drop next. Is Iceman. And here's the thing. Do you know how many matches I've lost solely because of Iceman and has ruined my plans? Iceman goes for the card that I'm going to play next almost always. And the thing about playing Iceman, you don't know if it ruined your opponent. But I know that when Iceman is placed against me, it just is horrible. So many matches. So as far as the 2 best 1-drops in the game, for sure, it is Iceman and Sunspot. Oh, super annoying card, but it has to go on the list. Again, Iceman and Sunspot can slot into almost any other deck. Let's talk about another card that I feel is a bona fide cube stealer, and that is Shang-Chi. And specifically, you know, I was talked at the beginning of the video about how Shuri is the best card in the game, or in my opinion, Shuri is the best card of the game. This guy ruins Shuri decks and is a serious cube stealer on turn 6. I feel like almost every match I'm playing, I'm thinking, is this player playing Shang-Chi? How am I going to lose to Shang-Chi? I'm always asking myself that question, and it is amazing. And if you look at that right here, you can see that one in deck, one when drawn, but one when played, steals cubes. This guy is a cube stealer, easily makes the list, and also slots into so many decks. Another card that I deeply hate playing against, and that is Scorpion. The amount of damage that Scorpion is doing to the opponent, maybe it's overplayed a little bit. Turn 1 Iceman, turn 2 Scorpion, but it just goes into so many decks and it's so powerful. And the number of times that I've lost by 1 point or 2 points, or the amount of points that I lost by was solely because of Scorpion, is very frustrating. And especially if you can drop Scorpion to the location where it Camartage or whatever it's called, where it goes twice. Oh my God, it's horrible. Put Scorpion in your deck, put Iceman in your deck, and you might get better results. It's just a good card. The next card is also super annoying and had to make a top 10 list, and that is Cosmo. Yeah, Cosmo. Oh my God. There are so many decks that just auto lose to Cosmo, whether it's a deck that is using Invisible Woman or a deck that is using Wong. But having priority and anticipating where a player is going to play something that is using a non-reveal effect is quite amazing. And Cosmo ruins the day. And the reason why I put him on the list is because not only does he slot into a bunch of decks and good utility, but also there really is not a counter to Cosmo. The only one that I could think of off the top of my head is maybe like Magneto and pull the Cosmo into another lane. I guess the way to counter Cosmo is just more power and win, but boy. Next on the list is She-Hulk, and She-Hulk is a card that I feel like a lot of people don't have access to yet. She was a Series 4 card and recently was dropped down into Series 3. I love She-Hulk. She-Hulk plus Aero is one of my favorite things in the world to do. Skip turn 5. She-Hulk costs 1 on turn 6 for 10 power, which is amazing. And then put Aero somewhere else and you win the game. There are so many ridiculous tricks that you can do with She-Hulk. She-Hulk plus Wave. You play Wave on turn 5 and you have 2 unspent energy, making She-Hulk effectively cost 2. And then you have another card that you could play for 4, and you could play 2 cards where your opponent is only playing 1 card, or maybe you're playing a deck with Death and you've successfully exploded a lot of cards and you can play all 3. Copying her with Moon Girl is very good. Moon Girl synergizes so well with She-Hulk. I feel like this is just one of the best cards in the game. Also, I was able to use She-Hulk with Shuri, is even better. Play Shuri on turn 4, skip turn 5, She-Hulk for 20 power, and then Taskmaster for another 20 power, pushing out 40 power of stats on turn 6 is amazing. Next on the list is Mystique. And I put Mystique on the list because I feel like there's like so many decks that use ongoing, and I can't tell you how many times I've used Mystique and copying Iron Man, copying Darkhawk, copying Devil Dino, copying just whatever, Wong. There's so many different ways to use Mystique, and it's just one of my favorite cards. Had to put her on the list. I wasn't really entirely sure to put her on the list, but I just wanted to put out there that she's like one of my favorite cards, and I love using her. And then the last 2 here, one is a shout out to like a pool 1 card. It's just like Devil Dino. I think everybody has played Devil Dino in 1 games and knows the power of Devil Dino, specifically with Mystique, or having Moon Girl fill up your hands. Your Devil Dino is very large. I think this goes without stating that Devil Dino should be on the list. And then we're going to finish with a bonus card. So normally there's only 10, but I'm going to do a bonus one. And the reason why I did a bonus one is this card is a little bit more situational than a lot of cards that we talked about on this list, but the card doesn't really have a counter, and the card merits consideration. And when you see this card on the board, be scared. And that card is Dracula. There's really not a counter to Dracula other than, let's say, placing Maximus, and so that way your opponent has to draw 2 more cards, and then your Dracula is kind of small. It is RNG dependent, but whether it is Apocalypse or Infinite, Dracula wins games, and he also slots into a bunch of different archetypes. And I wanted to put him on this list is that there was really not a way of stopping it effectively, and so he had to make the list. So who did I miss on my list? Who do you think should have been on the list? Who do you think should not have been on the list? Love to hear your comments. These are just my thoughts on the game. Let me know what you think in the comment section. And as always, thanks for watching and keep on gaming. Bye for now.